I want to welcome everybody to this demonstration. NAZIYAH case. All they have to prove is probable cause, and Jarvis butts is done. And I believe that that's why Kim Worthy refers to the evidence that they have against Jarvis to be enough to put him away. Now, we're dealing with the state of Michigan. So just like every state has their own penal codes, they have their own way of prosecuting, and they have their own sentencing guidelines. I'm going to be throwing some of the state of Michigan's penal codes, guidelines out at you all. All right. Y'all know how we do over here in the Rock Squad. I do allow everyone to weigh in. Everybody's opinion is welcome over here. I want you all to help me make this demonstration an excellent demonstration so we can shed light on the NAZIYAH case. Salute to the chat. Salute to my replay gang. Salute to all of my moderators. And yes, Nita, a chicken box and a half and half when I'm switching lanes. And on that note, I'm going to take a quick commercial and I will come back and we will jump into this demonstration.
I'd like to place an order. Yeah. Hey, let me get a chicken box and a half and half. All right, good looking out. I'd like to place an order. Yeah. Hey, let me get a chicken box and a half and half. All right, good looking out. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. Switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. When I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. When I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. When I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes.
But before we get started with this demonstration, let me read my copyright. Younger females like older men. So my smoothie is going to consist of
I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes.
All right, first let me throw this penal code out there at you all. Okay, so this is 750.91. And this is a law in Michigan. The 750.91. It says any person who shall attempt to commit the crime of red rum by poisoning, drowning, or strangling another person, or by any means not constituting the crime of assault with intent to red rum, shall be guilty of a felony punishable by imprisonment in the state prison for life or any term of years. That's what Kim Worthy is banking on. A crime of red rum by poisoning. And that's why she holds on very tight to the antifreeze demonstration, right? So when it comes to Jarvis, he pretty much put his own self in quicksand. You know, he put himself in quicksand. Now, when it comes, and this is just my opinion, you all let me know how y'all feel. They definitely got Jarvis on the inappropriate of touching NAZIYAH. Now, according to these penal codes, according to the Michigan state law, all they need is probable cause. All right. Let's tap into a legal expert. Let's tap into a legal expert and let's hear what she has to say. And then I'll come back. Salute to the chat.
Which is why, defense attorneys, we always tell folks, don't talk, because they have information. They know that she's been texting him. They know the content of those texts, the fact that she planned to meet him on the day she disappeared after school, the fact that she told him back in September, this was a couple of months before, that she wasn't having her period. So he knows what's going on, and he's denying a lot of it, denies the last time he saw her, says it was at grandma's house, when they know he saw her after that. So all these things are the way you really build a case.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was a little concerned because the conversation seemed pretty casual between the police officers and him, but I do believe that they're beginning to get into the weeds. They're beginning to show him the text messages. They're beginning to ask the tough questions that need to be asked in terms of, what exactly is this relationship? It's obviously highly unusual to be texting back and forth, having conversations with a 13-year-old girl when you're 41. But that seems to be what the dynamic of the relationship was. But getting to the bottom of, what he and their conversation and relationship was is going to be really key in terms of this hearing and determining whether he'll be charged with this crime or not.
And unfortunately, it's unusual under most circumstances, but obviously not for Jarvis Butts, right? This is something that he seems to make some sort of, it's almost what he does. And it's just crazy. I want to go back to this preliminary hearing part. Again, I want folks to understand the standard here is very low. The rules of evidence are sort of relaxed. So the state's allowed to move their tapes back and forth. Normally there would have to be some agreement between the parties, but ultimately talk about the fact that the standard here is very, very low.
Yeah. And that's exactly right. On some levels, they don't have to prove everything. They don't have to bring forward every witness, every DNA test, every text message. They just have to make a reasonable showing that they indeed can charge and indict this individual for this crime. And I think that's where we are at this point. We have someone who's disappeared, and I think that they're really trying to set forth that this is the person who did it.
Yeah, no question about it. Probable cause is all they need to show.
And that's basically what it all boils down to, the probable cause. There's no NAZIYAH hers, all right? They got these text messages. My opinion, I believe that Jarvis is going to cop a plea. I believe that come time for trial, Jarvis is going to plead guilty. That's his only way out. Now, Michigan, yes, in Michigan, a person can be charged and convicted of red rum even if the victim's body is never found. This through circumstantial evidence that strongly suggests a red rum occurred and that the defendant was responsible. Once again, the text messages. Now, this is, in my opinion, how his attorneys can win. All they got to be able to prove is that Shannon sent some of the text. Not all. They don't got to be able to prove that she sent all of them. Some. Because if they can prove that Shannon sent some of those text messages, then it's without a reasonable doubt that Shannon unalived NAZIYAH. And I believe that that's what the defense is going to focus on. If they're going to have any chance of beating this case for Jarvis, they're going to have to focus on the text messages that likely Shannon sent. The one about How do you like your girls? How do you like your women? Skinny? In my opinion, that's a no-brainer. All right. So it says the defense's argument, right? It says the defense will often argue that the evidence is not conclusive and that other explanations for the victim's disappearance are possible. Accidental death, going into hiding. And remember, some of y'all, even the evangelist was saying that NAZIYAH was too smart. NAZIYAH outsmarted them. Many of y'all believe that NAZIYAH is still alive. Some of y'all have said to me, Shank, I believe NAZIYAH is with her mother lady. Some of y'all believe that Vari, because Vari ran away before, some of y'all have even mentioned to me that Vari took and hid NAZIYAH. You know, then many believe Jarvis. You know, many believe Jarvis. So, but in this demonstration, and we can speak on other things, but I really want to focus in on Jarvis. I want to focus in on Jarvis. And is it enough probable cause? Does the state of Michigan have probable cause to prove that Jarvis is responsible for NAZIYAH's disappearance as well as unaliving? Carla says it's complicated. And I agree with you 100%. It's complicated. You know, it's very complicated. Let me see what I got for you all. I see y'all. Oh, that's not it. All right. Purple says, I thought they had to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. BB says, I think he already has a deal. They're trying to hold off on updating us because they watching her moves. If she moved the body last, she gets scared. She's going to go back to see if police at the spot. He was present, but I don't think he did the unalive. Think just helped with the getting rid of the body. Love Jones says, I don't think they could charge him for her red rum. I do think others will be brought up for that. Prosecution has to prove without a reasonable doubt. Defense has to show doubt. How many of y'all believe that the prosecution will be able to prove without a reasonable doubt? It says, while finding someone guilty of red rum without a body is extremely challenging, it is not impossible. Convictions are possible when strong circumstantial evidence, such as forensic evidence, digital records, and witness testimony, overwhelmingly suggests the victim's death and the defendant's guilt. However, the prosecution faces a higher burden of proof in these nobody cases. So it's not going to be, I mean, the state of Michigan, Kim, she's going to have her work cut out. Candy says if they can't prove he unalived her, he will never get out, and I will be happy with that. He don't deserve to walk the streets. His defense is going to say Shannon, and I think people believe that. I give him full responsibility for the SA, but not the red rum. That is family right there. Can I get everybody to hit the like button? Come on out the bushes and tap that like button for me. I don't think Kim Worthy has this case all over the place. I see you, Q. Hopefully they can pull the records from Shannon's old phone. I think Shannon did it and that knew. I see establishing a timeline. It says determining the time of death can be difficult without a body, which can complicate the timeline of events. So they do have to establish a timeline. I don't think they can prove premeditated, but I do think he'll be found guilty for the other charges. Shout out to Miss Parker and her riders. Make sure if you haven't already subscribed to Miss Parker, make sure you all subscribe to Miss Parker. Kim Worthy put that charge on Jarvis to get him out of the way. She is going for the big fish. Salute, Kippy. It says lack of physical evidence. The absence of a body means the prosecution loses access to crucial physical evidence like the red rum weapon, blood spatter patterns, and other forensic evidence that might be found at the scene on the victim. How convictions are achieved: strong circumstantial evidence. It says prosecutors rely heavily on circumstantial evidence, which can include forensic evidence, DNA, blood, fingerprints, or other evidence that links the defendant to the crime scene or the victim, digital evidence, cell phone records, GPS data, surveillance footage, and social media activity that places the defendant and victim at the same location or time. Witness testimony, accounts from people who saw or heard something related to the crime, even if they didn't witness the actual red rum. It says motive, evidence of a motive for the red rum, such as financial gain, jealousy, or revenge. In my opinion, I don't think that even the text messages, I don't think that, and this is just my opinion, you all let me know what y'all opinions are. Everybody on the replay gang and everybody in the chat. Do y'all believe that through the text messages there was a motive? Drop a 1 if you think that there's the motive for red rum in the text messages. Drop a 2 if you don't think there's a motive. I didn't get a motive out of the text messages. He never threatened her. They can't prove in the text messages that he threatened her. Nobody, even Shannon's testimony, said she don't think he would do anything to her. However, she don't know what he'd do if his back against the wall, but she never clearly stated, yeah, I think that he would do something to her. He threatened her. She came to me one time and told me that Jarvis threatened me. So there has no text messages. Nobody has testified that Jarvis got physical with NAZIYAH. So when it comes to the motive, me personally, I don't see a motive in the text messages. It says confessions or admissions. While a confession alone isn't enough to convict, it can be used as evidence if corroborated by other evidence. It says 3 legs of the stool approach. Once again, this is Michigan's law. All right. So they have a 3 legs of the stool approach. How many of y'all are familiar with that 3 legs of the stool approach? It says some legal experts suggest that strong nobody cases often rely on what they call the 3 legs of the stool: forensic evidence, digital evidence, and witness testimony. It says conviction rates. Despite the challenges, research suggests that nobody red rum cases that go to trial have a high conviction rate. Some sources indicate that about 86% of such cases result in a conviction, compared to a national average of around 70% for all red rum cases. They give 2 examples. David Gilroy, convicted of red rum, Suzanne Pilley in Scotland, despite nobody being found, relying on extensive circumstantial evidence. It says the Duvall brothers, convicted of red rumming 2 men in Michigan with no bodies ever recovered. So what do all of this mean that I read? Basically, it's a 50-50. It can go either way. It just depends on, the defense team. It depends on the prosecution. Peaches says the motive is to hide his inappropriate touching crime, not to return to jail. And that's a good point, Peaches. That's a good point. But it may be a good point, but how many of y'all believe that that could be the motive? Because many people would say that NAZIYAH isn't the only female that he inappropriately touched. She's not the only child that he inappropriately touched. Hell, he inappropriately touched his own daughter. Now, I'm sure, Peaches, you would say, well, Shank, his daughter wasn't expecting his baby. So I guess, as you said, his motive was to hide the fact that he got NAZIYAH pregnant. Strong possibility, you all. And I agree, he's definitely sick. He's definitely sick. Anytime you have to resort to inappropriate touching little girls. He did this too much to be scared now and do the red rum. Appreciate the membership, Blue Ash. Appreciate that, appreciate that membership to the platform. Moderators, can I get y'all to drop the membership link? Also, we have a goal. If anyone is interested in helping me reach my 15 super stickers and super chats for this demonstration, please click on the $ symbol. I appreciate it all. Thanks, Blue Ash. Now, I'm going to go to Kim Worthy, y'all. Let's backtrack Kim Worthy. Because I'm sure that Kim Worthy is banking on the probable cause. I'm sure of that.
What if you can create your own website by saying, this is what I want? With Wix, you can.
We He started covering this story back in February when Detroit Police took over the case from Detroit Public Schools Public Safety. This was not known. Nothing was known to the media until February 14th, Valentine's Day, when a massive search was underway. And then for months and months trying to find her, and then nothing.
The evidence shows overwhelmingly in this case that she is in fact deceased.
This is believed to be the last picture taken of 13-year-old NAZIYAH Harris before she disappeared in Detroit on January 9th. Thursday, investigators announced homicide charges as well as criminal sexual conduct charges against 41-year-old Jarvis Butts, someone with a criminal record and someone known to Harris's family.
We suspected him from the beginning, considering his background and things like that we've heard about him.
Butts is being charged with homicide despite the fact that the teenager's body was never found. During Thursday's press conference, Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy revealing shocking evidence.
You look at that face and you do not see the horrors that she had gone through in her short life. The exploitation, the molestations, the sexual abuse, and the pregnancy that she was concealing. There's no evidence of anyone else being the father of that child other than the defendant himself, who we charge today.
What evidence? What evidence did Kim mention? I didn't hear her mention any evidence. I really didn't, you all. Shannon did it. She had more motive than he did. She was jealous of her niece, which was pregnant by her man. Jarvis will not himself go down alone. He's going to tell. Just even the thought I can vomit. His daughter, something he made. I see you, Rashida. I believe he tried to give her the antifreeze and things went bad. He had to. I'm going for the SA, but not the red rum. We all know the SA charges are going to stick. That's for sure. I believe that as we get closer to trial, they're going to drop the red rum charge. Shank, you think Janiyah was pregnant from her dad also in the house with Mark D, who she give the test to? Did she say Janiyah to Roxy? I'm not sure of that, Kippy. Salute, Yolanda. Overwhelming evidence shows she is deceased. So they have more than they are saying. Closed mouth. And I always, it's like this, y'all, with the, Love Jones says, yes, they can't disclose what they have. It would jeopardize the case. Well, see, here's the thing, right? At the preliminary, and this is state, at the preliminary, and see, we watched this same thing with P. Diddy's case. And many people were telling me, Shank, they can't tell everything that they got. Shank, they got more. And as the P. Diddy's case played out, they ain't had nothing as far as evidence strong enough to convict him in a RICO case. See, it's certain things at that preliminary that has to come out at the preliminary. It's a preliminary. So the preliminary proceedings is for what? To see whether or not there's enough probable cause for it to be bound over for trial. At the preliminary, what did they produce? Text messages, right? Indicating inappropriate relations going on. And this is just my opinion, everybody, my opinion. I don't believe that the state of Michigan has produced. I don't think that they came with the evidence that they claim they had. Trust me, when it comes to trial, they ain't going to have no new evidence than what we already know unless Jarvis talks. That'll be the only way that the state will have some evidence that we don't know about. Right now, we don't know where her remains are. We don't know where her body is at right now. The state of Michigan don't know. How many of y'all think that the state of Michigan knows where her remains are? I don't think the state of Michigan knows where her remains are. I don't. I believe that if the state of Michigan knew where her remains were at, I believe that that would have been made public. It would have been made public with social media. If you go to the bathroom and you spend too much time in the bathroom, somehow it gets leaked to social media. Everything, if y'all pay attention, damn near everything that we do, it gets leaked to social media. If they had a body, if they found remains, it would have been made known to the public. It would have been made known to the public. So in my opinion, I just don't really think the state of Michigan got no more evidence than what we already know. That's why even the officials, that's why, if y'all notice, everybody that's been following this case, everybody that's involved in this case tunes in to all of us content creators. They all. And shout out to Toot and Miss Parker. Toot and Miss Parker, they have the big followings as far as when Toot do her demonstrations on NAZIYAH Harris. Toot had 1,200, 1,300, 1,500, 1,600. When Miss Parker do her demonstrations on NAZIYAH Harris, 1,200, 1,300. They all, trust me, Kim Worthy, they all tap into the content creators. And why y'all think they tap into the content creators? Can somebody tell me why they tap into the content creators? The content creators get more information than they do. People reaches out to the content creators and give them information. So, in my opinion, they don't know no more than what we know. They don't, unless Jarvis come up off of that information. Love Jones says to gather information. Auntie says because they are just like us fishing for information. Mika says, yep, most definitely. So that's why I'm saying I ain't buying it. The evidence that they got is what they showed. They could have kept the text messages a secret. Right? They could have kept the text messages a secret. They could have kept the exhibits that was exhibit A, B, C. They could have kept all of that a secret. But they didn't because they couldn't. They couldn't. Whatever evidence they got, they gotta make it public. Got to. Ms. Parker read the transcripts. Any evidence would have been in them transcripts. They know someone might slip up. Shank, stay on it, brother. Appreciate you, Mona. It's coming because NAZIYAH is popping her it from the other side. For real, for real. So, and see, if y'all notice, the deeper that the content creators was going, all the information that the content creators was putting out there, notice how the distractions started to come, right? Started to try to play content creators against content creators. Why? Ask yourself why. They didn't intentionally try to unalive her. They tried to cover up the family secret, and that Shannon and Marquita gave her something to abort the pregnancy on the 8th. She was in pain on the 9th. Exactly. I agree with you on that, Tina. I wouldn't doubt if new people come from out the bushes on here. Yeah, you know they're going to come in to try to throw us off, to try to distract what we got going on. Shank, I think they got more information than what they are telling us. And they might have more information, Bridget. They might. I just don't believe it. I think everything that they got, unless Jarvis spilled the beans. You know, that part. Shank and Miss Parker fact check before they show fact, and now they know, they see people on pages tell all and notice Shannon lurking. That's facts, Kippy. That's facts. I sat back and I watched. I'm sure you all watched. If the case at risk of being compromised, they for sure can withhold information from the public. I feel you, Keisha, and I will accept that, Keisha. Shank Worthless is not going to show her whole hand. She is working with some of the higher ups, bro. I appreciate that, Antoinette, and I accept all y'all opinions, because it's just my opinion, and that's why I always say I could be wrong. I always tell y'all, unless it's for sure, and then I tell y'all, trust me. But I'm only going off of my opinion. So all of y'all opinions is on point. Would someone really send a 13-year-old to school after giving them an abort? They don't want you guys talking because you all are getting too far in their rotten lives. That's facts. That's facts. I mean, we was on it. This NAZIYAH Harris sector was pumping. I mean, all the content creators was really, really digging deep. They couldn't have that. So they had to come in and distract. I still don't have a body, though. Where is NAZIYAH Harris? I think if Diddy trial didn't teach us anything, it taught us prosecutors be gaslighting us about what they gonna prove. That's all I'm saying, Purple. That's all I'm saying. If Diddy's trial ain't show us that, and come on, we talking the feds. We just knew the feds was gonna come out just hitting 3-pointers. We just knew the feds was gonna come out hitting home runs. But what did the feds come out doing? The feds came out when they should have been producing evidence that they collected on a RICO case. They came out talking about freak-offs. Same way with the NAZIYAH Harris case. Unless Jarvis talks, Jarvis is the only one that's going to be able to spill the beans. And that ain't going to talk. Shannon ain't going to talk. Marquita not going to talk. I don't think King's, while he was locked up, I don't think King had anything to do with it, where as though it's going to incriminate him and he's going to go down. So the only one that's going to come up off of any information is going to be Jarvis. They don't got a strong case. And he is talking big spitting because in July to September it's going down. Let's keep watching. Yes, everything is allegedly. Shank, do you think Jarvis will sing like a bird and give out more information? I think Jarvis will. And I believe that that's what Kim Worthy is banking on. You know, it's a chess match. Y'all know, okay, we're going to make him think that we got this. We're going to make him think that we got that. Good cop, bad cop. Y'all know how the cops get down. Y'all know how law enforcement get down. Make you think that they know more than what they telling you. Yeah, we already know. We already know. You know, we got evidence. But we're going to hold on to the evidence. That's just how the law enforcement get down. And if you've been around and if you've watched enough detective shows, if you've watched any of those cop shows, you know how they get down. They don't be having nothing. And if you've ever been interrogated before, you know, 48 hours, a prime example. And they play them dudes out of position every time. Especially if it's more than one person that get locked up. They play them out of position every time. And they get in there and they start singing. Cops don't have nothing. I see you, Miss Parker. Shout out to Miss Parker. Salute Miss Parker. Appreciate that super sticker, Candy. Once again, we have a 15 super sticker and super chat goal over here. If anyone would like to help us reach our goal, click on the $ symbol and purchase a super sticker or a super chat. Appreciate that, Candy. So let me come back to Kim.
And he knew she was pregnant. We know that he was also searching for ways to abort the baby.
This is a story that has attracted a lot of attention.
And I'm going to run it back. See, for me, all that Kim was able to prove, and I could be wrong, this is just my opinion. All Kim was able to prove was that Jarvis knew she was pregnant, carrying his baby, right? Jarvis was having inappropriate, relations with NAZIYAH. That's all can be proven in the text messages. That's it. The red rum can't be proven in them text messages. Well, he was Googling antifreeze. I said it before. He's a mechanic. He's a mechanic. I believe they fixed King's son's grandmother's Jaguar. They put a new water pump in, I believe. We all know when you replacing a water pump, we all know that you're going to have to fill that radiator back up, if I'm not mistaken. When you change your water pump, you do got to fill the radiator back up because, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, the water pump is connected to the radiator. I could be wrong. But once again, he's a mechanic. So why wouldn't he be Googling about antifreeze? All right. Let me grab something else and then we're going to move on. Give me a second. Shout out to Mark D from 7 Miles Radio. Mark D put the work in to help this story go viral. And it's because of Mark D, myself, along with Miss Parker and the other content creators, has been able to cover the case. One thing about the higher power, what's in the dark will come to light. But shouldn't he know as a mechanic that you can't drink it? He was real specific in the search. Talk to me about how specific he was in the search, Keisha. Talk to me how specific he was in the search, because you might be on to something. You might be on to something, Keisha. But he wouldn't be asking about antifreeze and pregnancy. Correct. Miss Parker, please rest and take good care of yourself. Sending love, hugs, and prayers. And that's why I'm doing the demonstration, because Miss Parker needs rest. So Miss Parker is just relaxing, laid back. And I told her, I said, I'll go live. I see you, Capricorn. I'm not a driver, but don't most drivers have antifreeze around? True. I always keep antifreeze. I believe Jarvis has definitely started talking for a lesser sentencing. And that's the only way that they're going to get any information. That's right, Uncle. That's the only way they're going to get any information, is if Jarvis come up off of it and see, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, I believe that that's what Kim Worthy is banking on. Make them think we got a strong case. Make them think we got a strong case. Because they definitely got a strong case when it comes to the inappropriate relations. It's there. You know what I mean? So, okay, Jarvis, the ball is in your court now. You know we got you on this. And we got enough on you to send you away for the rest of your life. Because at the end of the day, the bigger crime, the bigger charge in all of this is the unaliving of NAZIYAH. See, so they're, okay, we'll work with you because they want to solve the unaliving of NAZIYAH. And it happens all the time. Ms. Parker says Jarvis is talking, but at this point, he's just friendly talking because he's never getting out for all the SA victims. I agree with you, Ms. Parker. I love you, Ms. Parker. Your strength is my strength. Stay strong. Shank, when you are working on foreign cars, you have to order them from a foreign auto deal, bruh. So Cordell can't walk into a regular auto parts store. And that's true. That's true. In the end, they all going to be charged partners, so everybody may as well tell what happened because the feds already know.
Podcaster Mark DeAndre.
Even in March, when I was doing the podcast, I felt like I had this thing pretty much solved as far as, you know, what came out today. I said this months ago as far as what the end result was.
Investigators say they have.
And that's what I'm saying. As far as the content creators, we know, and they talking about, oh, don't listen to the content creators. The content creators don't know nothing. Make sure y'all get the information from the news. The news was trying to discredit the content creators. Y'all remember that? But y'all get the information from us. Like Mark D said. Mark D said, I had already figured it out. And everything that's coming out, everything that came out, Mark D had already figured it out. So now, watch this. Now when everything comes out, I promise y'all. And as a content creator, if I don't say your name, please don't feel offended. But I promise y'all, when it come out, stuff that y'all learned from Toot, stuff that y'all learned from Ms. Parker, MGTV, Cold Piece, Brittany Ann, SP, Shanitra, all the things that Mocha, all the things that y'all learned on them platforms, I promise y'all gonna come out. Y'all gonna be able to say, yeah, so-and-so said that. Yeah, I remember this, I remember that. Watch. Because the content creators, we're on the job. We're on the job 24/7. They're not. Kim Worthy ain't on this 24/7. She got other cases. We on this. Y'all be having the most close to these cases. You content creators have probably contributed evidence. Toot. Shout out to Toot. Drop Toot's link in the chat, moderators. At this point, it's a matter of who breaks first. That's facts, Ms. Parker. The content creators are true detectives for real, for real. Wow, Ms. Parker, my heart hurts for her.
No plans to charge anyone else in this case.
I'm upset about that. And I would like to see charges being brought against those that knew.
See what I'm saying? Now, the news said what? The news said no charges will be brought against nobody else but Jarvis. What Kiwan is saying? Kiwan is saying everybody that knew, what do we get from all these content creators platforms? That it just wasn't Jarvis. I mean, come on, y'all. Now I can go there, but I ain't on one. Y'all can't fuck with us content creators. Y'all can't. I don't care what content creator platform you go to, that content creator and that platform gonna give you more than what the news is giving y'all. So don't try to come for us content creators. Like I said, that's why the distraction came. That's why the distraction came. That's why they try to distract us as content creators, because they know them content creators is on it. Make sure y'all subscribe to Cold Piece TV. And I don't have a problem, moderators, whatever content creators, links that y'all want to drop in the chat. That's totally up to y'all. I don't have a problem. You can drop whatever content creator links in the chat that's been covering NAZIYAH Harris case. I'm cool with that. But make sure y'all go check out the content creators. Like I said, I don't know much. I know about that much. I know the content creators is the one that keep the NAZIYAH Harris case popping. I know that for a fact. Let me backtrack. Kiwana want them all responsible, not just Jarvis.
Investigators say they have no plans to charge anyone else in this case.
I'm upset about that, and I would like to see charges being brought against those that knew, that were affiliated with him and knowing, and that allowed him to be around the children knowing he wasn't supposed to be.
In a sad turn of events, NAZIYAH Harris's father, Mervyn Jennings, passed away this summer.
Literally died of a broken heart. Unfortunately, he had congestive heart failure. He's already sick and got sicker going out looking for her.
May NAZIYAH's father soul rest in peace. May his soul rest in peace. I'm not his maker. You know, whatever issues that he had while he wasn't in NAZIYAH's life, that's something that he has to take up with his creator. So prayer hands for NAZIYAH's father.
I got a chance to interview her father back in March during an exhaustive search for her in the Rouge River. And, he said he was out there every day searching for her, to find out then that he has passed away before he was able to find out this.
I ordered 200 hand-forged knives to my dorm room and built a Wix website to sell them.
And that's sad.
You know what came out?
That's sad, y'all. Let's move on.
Turn home, many of which
I have spent decades of my career looking at pictures of murdered people. When I was trying homicide cases for 6 straight years as an assistant prosecutor, I would spend hours thinking about the victim whose case I was getting ready to try, wondering how they spent their last weeks, their last days, their last hours, and their last minutes of their lives. What were they thinking about? Did they know that the end was near? And if it was someone they knew, what must they have been thinking as they were shot, stabbed, or whatever mechanism of death was used and confronted them with by the person they knew or loved? I can't imagine the thought that goes through their minds. But it's always 1,000 times worse when the person is a child or a baby, someone in the dawn of their lives who have begun to live their lives. The picture behind me is of NAZIYAH, and that will always be haunting because it was taken just a short time before the evidence shows that she was never seen or heard from again.
And see, that picture is questionable. Was that her last picture? You know what I mean? It's like she waving bye, y'all. Somebody went through some extreme measures to play in our face. Somebody. It's like it was all planned. She's saying bye, and I believe she said to some kids, I can't remember, that y'all won't see her no more. Come on, y'all. Come on. Somebody is playing on our tops. And that somebody thought that they were too slick. They started out slick. Most people that are slick, they start out slick. But when it all play out, my favorite saying, when it all play out, they crash out. Now watch. The closer that we get, watch. When Jarvis come up off of this information, we're going to be like, I know it. Told y'all. But what was done to NAZIYAH, it's like you do that type of stuff to animals. You know what was done to her. See, like in one breath, they talked about how good of a child she was, you know. But then what was done to her, it makes you wonder. And that's why I always say, be careful who you allow to pray for you. Be careful who you allow to pray over you, because there's some sick people out here. And believe it or not, we think Jarvis is sick, which he is. We think Jarvis is a monster, which he is. Miss Annette and Shannon, Jarvis ain't got nothing on them. Jarvis is sloppy. Jarvis is clumsy. Jarvis trips his own self up. Not Annette and Shannon. They're crafty. Hey, they real crafty with it. Yep. But as I said, people that think they slick, they always outslick themselves. They testimonies. Them testimonies. They lie. They lie under oath. They lie. They got up there and they lie like hell. And that's why Kim Worthy said, after that clip that I just played, Kim Worthy now, nobody else but Jarvis is going to be prosecuted. And what did Kim Worthy say? I'm upset. I'm mad because everybody that knew, and that knew, Shannon knew, Kim Worthy tried to take up for Annette and Shannon. The judge wasn't having it. See, let's put it in its proper perspective. But the state of Michigan want us to believe that they got all of this hardcore evidence. They don't. They don't. Because if they did, more would be prosecuted than Jarvis. If the state of Michigan had this concrete evidence, Kim wouldn't have said nobody else is going to be prosecuted. The judge and Kim Worthy said the same thing. The judge laid Miss Annette and Shannon's asses out. The judge said, y'all failed her. But what Kim was saying, oh, we ain't gonna make it about the family. What are you talking about? We ain't gonna make it about the family. It was the family that failed her. It's the family that's responsible. Certain members in the family that's responsible for what happened to her. So what are you talking about, Kim? I ain't going off of what I think. I'm not assuming nothing. Facts. It's facts. It's facts. Let me back. I don't think I got that clip. But what Kiwana say? After Kim Worthy said what she said, Kiwana said, I'm upset, I'm mad, because everybody that knew should be held accountable. And the state of Michigan wants Shank to believe they got this hard concrete evidence. Y'all can believe it. I can't tell y'all what to believe. Y'all can believe that they got all this hard concrete evidence. Shank ain't buying it. Now, I don't know what they got now, but when she gave that speech, they ain't had no concrete evidence. Like I said, I don't know what they got now. I'm sure Jarvis has been talking, but I know for a fact when she gave that interview, she ain't had no evidence, because if she had it, she'd have said, we getting ready to press charges against the grandmother. We getting ready to press charges against the aunt. Yeah, Shane. Yeah, but see, Shane, she ain't want them to know. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Either you got enough evidence, either you got it where as though you can charge them, or you don't. It ain't no in-betweens. It's not holding off. Once again, we learned this in the P. Diddy trial with the feds. The feds claim they had all of this evidence. Feds ain't had nothing.
It was taken by NAZIYAH herself, a selfie. That's the last known picture that we know about of her. It was pointed out to me by one of the detectives on this case and by one of the prosecutors. She is smiling and waving and saying hello. But little did she know that she was really saying goodbye. We will provide to you later a very skeleton timeline of the time right before her death, before and after. Of course, the detail would be provided in court.
See?
The evidence shows overwhelmingly.
Of course, it will be revealed in court. Come on now. Come on. If you got the timeline, you got the timeline. They did give a timeline now. Let me backtrack. They did give a timeline. But the timeline that they gave, what do y'all think about that timeline? Let me get my chat involved in this. What do y'all think about that timeline that they gave? I played that timeline on a previous demonstration as far as the phone pinging and the locations, and Jarvis was here, Jarvis was there. What do y'all think about that timeline? Do y'all think that that's a official enough timeline? Because see, once again, nobody, because, okay, let me say this. I believe Jarvis is breaking down in jail, just thinking about it's a lot of ways to get Jarvis to talk. I think he's a weak person. The timeline is off. There you go, Shani. As sick as it is, I do not think that Jarvis did it. Don't shoot the messages. And if he did, I would be really surprised. I think it was her aunt. Well, Mama Quake, welcome to the party. 98% of us believe Jarvis didn't do it. So you ain't the only one, Mama Quaco. 98% of us believe Jarvis didn't do it. Worthless, stop capping, liar. I don't think Jarvis even knows where the body is at. Shannon and Annette is distancing themselves from each other for a reason. And that's why after Jarvis was locked up for the unaliving of NAZIYAH Harris, Shannon was going down to that jail putting money on his books. I see you, Alicia. I believe Jarvis will go down for it. All Shannon her twin and mom, and whom else will pay before they leave this earth. They know that the mom and aunt was lying. They know. This makes me so sick. Facts. He going down, but he better take the rest of them with him. This is one sad situation. They're going to drop the red rum charge because they don't have the evidence, but it's enough inappropriate touching charges to put him under the jail. I believe Shannon did it, and that was watching. They called Jarvis to clean it up. We all believe that, Martha. What did Shannon say? She asked Miss Annette, should we call the police? Annette said, nah, wait till in the morning. If something happened to my niece, if my niece went missing, I ain't asking nobody. I'm not even going to ask my brother, which would be my niece's father. I'm not even going to ask my sister, which would be my niece's mother. I'm leading the charge. Oh, whoa, I'm going to lead the charge. I'm going to pick the phone, 911. My niece is missing. I ain't asking nobody. But Shannon asked Miss Annette, should we call the police? Miss Annette said, nah, we're going to wait until the morning. I ain't asking nobody. Should we call the police and my niece is missing? I'm calling the police. Yeah, Shank Rock gonna call police with his funky ass. I think Shannon has something on him. He doesn't want anyone to know because it was about baby girl. He's already locked up. Now, what can he lose? I feel you. Caller says, right. Those people that uphold the law need more training. Jarvis is a pawn in this sea pool. Yes, yes. I believe the prosecution will prevail because Butts, Shannon, Marquita, and Nat, Vari, and all involved will all pay the price to shut them up, period. Shannon has been angry and aggressive with everyone but Jarvis. Facts. I believe the twin, who is the same age, blew her top, and Shannon helped the mom, told them how it was going to go down. Dumb, you know what? Well, Shannon and that if she should call the fire department if the house is on fire. Facts. There's some kind of evil people. What's done in the dark is coming to light. Facts.
In this case, that she is in fact deceased. The last time she was seen alive was January the 9th of this year, 2024, almost 9 months ago. Her missing status was reported to the Detroit Public School Police Department by her grandmother on that very day when she never returned home from school. And again, that was January the 9th, 2024.
See what I'm saying? Now, Kim Worthy said what? It was reported to the Detroit Police Department by the grandmother on the day that she went missing. But we all know Miss Annette waited till the next morning and reported it to the school police. So once again, Kim wants us to believe her. Now, maybe it was an error. Could have been. Could have been. Could have been. I'll ask y'all, should we hold that against Kim Worthy? Replay gang, let me know. Should we hold that against Kim Worthy? Appreciate that super chat, Chaotic. Mechanics know antifreeze is poisonous and label confirms too. They also have access to dangerous chemicals too. Praying for healing for Miss Parker. Appreciate that super chat. We are 12 super stickers and super chats away from me reaching my goal. If you would like to help me reach my goal of 15 super stickers and super chats, please click on the $ symbol and purchase a super sticker or a super chat. So what she say? And that, see, this is Kim Worthy. That's what I'm saying. I ain't making none of this up. And I'm sure y'all heard this before. I played it before. I'm sure y'all heard it on other content creators' platforms. which one is it, Kim? Did Annette call DPD, Detroit Police Department, that day, or did she wait until the next day? Which one is it, Kim? Like I said, maybe she just forgot. Maybe, because I can honestly say, because of me dealing with lupus, my lupus affects my memory. It clogs my brains. Sometimes I forget things. So, and if that's the case, then I'll give her a pass. I'm being fair. That's why sometimes I gotta stop and be like, help me out, y'all. So maybe she just forgot. Maybe she forgot that Miss Annette didn't call the police until the next day. I don't know. I'll leave that up to you guys. As far as what should we do with that, as far as her speaking on Annette calling the police on that day, January the 9th.
In early February of 2024, the case was turned over to the Detroit Police Department. Frankly, that should have happened right away, but they began investigating immediately.
Okay. Appreciate that super chat, Capricorn. Thank you, Shank. We need more stand-up men. Appreciate that. So maybe she said that and it happens. But have y'all noticed when it comes to Shannon, King, Kim, when it comes to Annette, when it comes to them, it's like when they speak, it's like they be lying. Now, once again, and that's why I always ask the replay gang and I always ask the chat, help me out. But I can't trust them. I can't. Let me backtrack this, y'all. Let me backtrack this for a minute. So did she say, appreciate the super sticker, Taj. Did she say Annette called the school police on that same day? Or did she say she called Detroit Police Department on that same day? Either way, she didn't notify the school police until the next day. So regardless of what, she didn't call the school police on that day when she went missing. Or did she? I gotta backtrack this, y'all. And this time, I'm gonna just let it play out before I speak.
For her death, before and after. Of course, the detail would be provided in court. The evidence shows overwhelmingly in this case that she is in fact deceased. The last time she was seen alive was January the 9th of this year, 2024, almost 9 months ago. Her missing status was reported to the Detroit Public School Police Department by her grandmother on that very day.
Detroit School Police Department on that day. Appreciate the super sticker, Ina and Bella's mom. She said it was reported by the grandmother to the school police Detroit Department. I'll let y'all help me with that, y'all. I will let y'all figure that part out. Appreciate the super sticker, Tash. Let me backtrack it again, and I promise I'm going to let it all play, y'all. But just listen to what she said Annette reported it to.
In fact, deceased. The last time she was seen alive was January the 9th of this year, 2024, almost 9 months ago. Her missing status was reported to the Detroit Public School Police Department by her grandmother on that very day when she never returned home from school. And again, that was January the 9th, 2024. In early February of 2024, the case was turned over to the Detroit Police Department. Frankly, that should have happened right away, but they began investigating immediately. The evidence would further show that through text messages that we know and that we have, NAZIYAH and this defendant were going to meet after school on January the 9th. We know that she did indeed meet up with the defendant that we're charging in this case. We also know that several people close to Mr. Butts, who we were charging later, saw them together in several different locations, people that he knew well.
Now, this is what I'm going to say. Who was the last person with NAZIYAH? I've always said, and I've got this from Perry Mason, Matlock, and Angela from Murder, She Wrote. I heard all three of them mention this. Usually, the last person that was with the victim is your killer. Now, according to the evidence, Jarvis was the last one with NAZIYAH when they went into the hotel, but didn't come out. But according to Shannon, what did Shannon say? Shannon said she was the last one to see NAZIYAH. Now, could Shannon meant she was the last one in the house to see NAZIYAH before she went to school? Now, nah, because they already knew what it was. No police that very day. We gonna call in the morning. She never cared about that baby sick stuff. And that line, because everyone was gone. So how did she report it to the school? Shannon admitted it. She said the 9th was day she was reported missing. Shannon testified that she was the last person to see her. Shannon told on herself. And that didn't expect the school to get the DPD involved because they didn't take that route when she reported Jarvis as a runaway. We cooking the night over here, ain't we? We cooking the night, ain't we? She reported her as a runaway to keep the checks coming in. Saddleback Shannon. She not smart. Not at all, Sunshine. Not at all.
We have evidence that at 9:30 p.m. on that day that Mr. Butts checked into a motel and the NAZIYAH was never seen or heard from again.
So, once again, Shannon, you claim you was the last one to see her. But according to Kim, she checked in that hotel with Jarvis at 9 and was never seen alive again. What was the point in her saying exactly how her mother expressed not to call that night? She didn't try to take her mother any less suspicious, if you ask me, dry snitching in a loud way. We cooking the night over here, Rock Squad.
Not from her family, not from her schoolmates, not from her friends, not from social media where she was extremely active with her friends, not from teachers, no one. We know that she had no medical conditions that would cause a life-threatening medical emergency to her. And he, again, was the last person that saw her alive. She would have turned 14 years old just 10 days ago on September the 16th of 2024. And again, no one has seen or heard from her. You look at that face and you do not see the horrors that she had gone through in her short life. The exploitation, the molestations, the sexual abuse, and the pregnancy that she was concealing. The evidence will show that from whatever text messages to and with Jarvis Butts. And we also know, the evidence will show, that there's no evidence of anyone else being the father of that child, other than the defendant himself, who we charged today. And he knew she was pregnant. We know that he was also searching for ways to abort the baby. We know that sexually explicit photos were requested by him of her and that she complied and sent them to her. All at the hands, we allege, the man we are charging with her death and also her long-term sexual abuse. In our warrant review process that Matt and Tina and others put together, excellent work on that. Video of 111 gigabytes, witnesses and witness statements, body-worn camera, and let me not forget, it was Tina and Matt's memo, but the work of the Detroit Police Department. Anyway, we reviewed 111 gigabytes of video, witnesses and witness statements, body-worn camera footage, surveillance video, police reports, documents, 19 gigabytes, medical records, search warrant returns, phone extractions, which came to 506 gigabytes. Today, we are charging Jarvis Butts with 1 count of first-degree premeditated murder, 1 count of criminal sexual conduct in the second degree, and 1 count of child sexually abusive material. Today, we are also charging Mr. Butts with more counts of criminal sexual conduct on 2 more girls, yes, girls, on 2 other separate cases. The girls in question now are 20 and 11 respectively today, but both were under the age of 13 years old at the time the offenses occurred that we're charging. We are charging that one victim who is now 20 years old, that from April of 2012 to April of 2014, is alleged that defendant Buck sexually assaulted the victim at a residence in Detroit. Further facts and evidence on that matter will be placed on the record at the preliminary examination. In that case, we charge Mr. Butts with criminal sexual conduct, 1 count in the first degree, person under 13, defendant 17 or older. In that case, we are also charging Mr. Butts with 3 counts of criminal sexual conduct in the second degree, person under 13, defendant 17 years or older. In the second criminal sexual conduct case, well, I guess the third that we're charging today, we are alleging that the victim, who is now 13 years old, that from July 2015 through July 2017, we're alleging that he sexually assaulted the victim at a residence in Detroit. And again, further facts and evidence will be developed at the preliminary examination.
And let me slide in, all right? Appreciate this super sticker, Tracy. Now, when they put the CPS report on Jarvis, right? How come CPS didn't talk with NAZIYAH? NAZIYAH's name was on the report, right? How come DPD, Detroit Police Department, didn't talk with NAZIYAH? Why they didn't investigate? Why they didn't speak with NAZIYAH? Oh, well, NAZIYAH's last name wasn't on the report. So many people failed NAZIYAH. So many people failed NAZIYAH. But Kim Worthy only wants to prosecute Jarvis. I wonder why. I wonder why Kim Worthy only wants to prosecute Jarvis when everybody else around her failed her.
Defendant Butts have been charged with, in that case, 1 count of criminal sexual conduct in the second degree. Child under the age of 13, Mr. Butts over the age of 17. Based on all the evidence that I've laid out now and much more that will be shown later in court, based on all these cases we will present in court, Mr. Butts targeted and befriended women who had to have sexual relationships with their young daughters. He would have relationships with their mothers, but his true desire was to have sex with their young daughters. That's what the evidence will show. He was a classic and expert groomer and pedophile. It's incredibly sad, incredibly unspeakable, and we want to bring justice to her and her family. I have to take this moment to say something to you. And this is not directed at all at NAZIYAH's family, who by all accounts had many in her family that truly loved her. This is directed to everyone else listening to me now. We must be very careful who we let into our hearts and our homes and our lives, especially if you have children.
Why not call a spade a spade? Isn't that what the judge did? Y'all see how she tried to take up for Miss Annette and Shannon? Like I said, everybody else in the family, they over there. But Shannon and Annette, and we can throw Marquita in the mix, but definitely Shannon and Annette should be held accountable. But see how Kim Worthy tried her best not to call Shannon and Miss Annette out. Appreciate that super sticker, PJ. Y'all see the difference between the judge and the prosecutor. The judge called them out. The judge called Miss Annette and Shannon out. Why Kim Worthy refused to call them out?
We must be very careful who we have around our children and elders respectively. We must also be very careful who we leave our children with, even if they are in a relationship partners, family, and friends. I'll say that.
Get the hell out of here. Appreciate that super sticker, PJ. Get the hell out of here, Kim. Come on, Kim. You can't make this up.
We must be very careful who we let into our hearts and our homes and our lives, especially if you have children. We must be very careful who we have around our children and elders respectively. We must also be very careful who we leave our children with, even if they are in relationship partners, family, and friends. I'll say that again. Even if they are relationship partners, families, or friends. Life can be hard enough at times, but when it comes to our children, we must be deliberative, we must be diligent, and laser focused on their safety.
Yeah, life can be hard at times, but that don't give you an excuse. That don't give an aunt, that don't give a grandmother to treat their family member the way that they treated NAZIYAH. Appreciate that super sticker, Love Jones. Appreciate that super sticker, Lavig. Appreciate the super sticker, Lisa. See, we ain't giving nobody a pass and just say, oh, yeah, we do know times is hard. Yeah, everybody is going through hard times, but everybody is not allowing a monster around our babies. I get so tired of some people, not all, I get so tired of some people using those excuses. Well, you know it's rough out here. You know times is hard. So that's why I done what I done. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. And that's how Jarvis, once again, what Shannon said. Well, I felt like if society could give Jarvis another chance, a second chance, I could give him a second chance, right? I see you, Max. And this is the same thing that his stable of women did. These is Jarvis's women. The lady that's by herself, that's the one that inappropriately touched Jarvis when he was 13 years old. And I guess he had a thing for those type of women. Who knows? But these are some of Jarvis's women. Some of y'all say Shank, he sure knew how to pick them. Capricorn says, heavy on the stable. Jennifer says, stable. They definitely look like a stable of cattle. Ina and Bella's mom says, desperate women. Lola says, right. Erica says, low self-esteem women. Peanut Butter Face says, there's no passes, as it was very well known before his court appearances. Tracy says, I believe Shannon was too upset. She jumped that baby. I'm sorry. And that says Shannon was the last person to see NAZIYAH because she went home and Annette was running errands. And NAZIYAH asked about where Jarvis lives at. Shannon saw the messages and lost it on NAZIYAH. Love Jones says, there you go with them big bugs. Capricorn says, Lisa, we cheated girls, cheated sisters. Lola says, I personally think the cops working with them too, especially if nobody else gets charged but Jarvis. Blind-eyed pedo loving women. I see you, Chen. Salute, Chen. So y'all done got me. Let me read this last one. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised when he speaks, when it's his time to speak. He's going to speak before it's going to be the perfect time when he speaks. Salute, Chen. It is a scary portfolio. All had a big back, easy used.
And sometimes we must make decisions about them and their lives that we may not like and that they may not like, but it's for the betterment of them and their safety and their future. When something doesn't feel right, even if it's just that voice in your head, it usually isn't right. And sometimes when we are attentive and we do everything right by our children, things can still happen and still go very wrong despite our best efforts. This can happen to good watchers of children. But we must always ask ourselves at the end of each and every day, was I right by each member of my household in terms of their safety? Did I do right by my children? Now, of course, Mr. Butts is presumed innocent unless and until he's found guilty on each and every crime and count that we have charged today. We have been told this morning that the arraignment will be tomorrow, we think at 10:30 a.m. in the morning, but we don't have confirmation of that yet. But the arraignment, we are told, will happen tomorrow morning. Thank you very much. Chief. I'll switch places with you.
Good morning. This is one of the most difficult cases that I have been a part of. And I'm just so very thankful to the detectives and the investigators in homicide. The tragedies that happened to this little girl touches each and every one of us. And unfortunately, she lost her life at the hands of someone who should have been concerned about her safety. I just want to take a couple moments and thank Madam Prosecutor and her team for the amazing work, the commitment, the hours that they put into this work. I want to thank our major crimes, missing persons, homicide, specifically Sergeant Jones and Lieutenant Amber Roberson. When I tell you the days and hours and the tenacity that they put into this work, it's not often that I'm not surprised by our officers, but when I saw the work and the hours and the time that they put in there, I was absolutely in awe at my weekly briefings and the time that they put into this case.
And once again, I'm giving flowers to all other content creators. They giving flowers to their officials. I'm giving flowers to the content creators. Now, y'all heard Kim Worthy, right? I'm going to just run a little bit of the judge, and then we're going to get out of here.
As far as Fisher, I agree with the people that this case is distinguishable. This is a case regarding a trial.
Let me get to the judge.
He suspected something strange going on. Didn't feel the need to call the police either.
Bingo.
But then after hearing text messages today, begging Jarvis for pads as if she didn't have anyone else to give them for her.
Bingo.
Between him and NAZIYAH that he did in the basement, saying he was going to the shower, stealing her panties. He was always lurking around that house and asking for Janiyah and Zaniyah, from what I know. I even thought about the breakfast routine and saying that all the kids like eating breakfast at school. Did they have a choice? I don't know.
See, the judge is on it. The judge don't got no problem with calling out Miss Annette and Shannon. How come Kim Worthy refused to call them out?
But to always send those girls up there to clean up the shop raises questions. And how were there two women in that house who have birthed children themselves who did not notice that NAZIYAH was pregnant? And I believe she was.
How was there two women in that house, Miss Annette and Shannon, that did not know NAZIYAH was pregnant?
Raises questions. And how were there two women in that house who have birthed children themselves who did not notice that NAZIYAH was pregnant? And I believe she was. And not having her period anymore. But then after hearing text messages today, begging Jarvis for pads as if she didn't have anyone else to give them for her.
That's sad. I mean, that's sad. That's sad. Once again, this little girl had to resort to a man, even if Jarvis wasn't a monster. even if he was a good man, but a little girl lives in the house with 2 women, she had to resort to asking a man for pads, couldn't go to the women. See, but Kim Worthy only wants to prosecute Jarvis.
And what stood out the most was when Annette Harris stood on the stand. And she learned around 6 p.m. that NAZIYAH did not come home from school, and said she looked around for her and decided to wait until the next morning to call the police.
So once again, Kim Worthy, when did Annette call the police? Did she call the police the same day? Or did she wait until the next day to call the police? See, we ain't making none of this up. Shank Rock ain't making none of this up. And all of the other content creators in this NAZIYAH Harris sector has played this by the judge. We ain't making none of this up. We ain't making none of this up. Thank God for us content creators in this sector. Thank God. Thank God for us content creators and the subscribers that's helping the content creators. Even if you just pull up, you're helping us. So I want all the subscribers to know we thank y'all for pulling up. We thank y'all for sharing information with us. I can't thank the content creators in the sector without thanking the subscribers. So I want all the subscribers to know that we all appreciate all of y'all as subscribers. But the judge, she's on it. She's on it. But once again, not Kim Worthy. Now, maybe Kim Worthy didn't know that Miss Annette waited until the next day. Maybe Miss Annette lied to Kim Worthy. I don't know. I don't know. But that'll be the only way that Kim Worthy gets a pass from me, as if she was lied to. If Annette lied and told Kim Worthy she caught the police that day, then I can't hold Kim Worthy accountable. But if Kim Worthy knew, and I believe she knew because it's in the police report, black and white, once again, black and white. Police report ain't gonna lie. It's in police report, and that waited till the next day, called police. I'm just saying.
Without a tear, without emotion, or any expression of being devastated. And to her Aunt Shannon, who also showed no emotion, expression of being devastated from NAZIYAH going missing. She stated that she had friends help look for NAZIYAH, but was directed to just wait until the morning to call the police. A grown woman who likely suspected something strange going on didn't feel the need to call the police either. They were both able to go to sleep at night without hearing from NAZIYAH or having any indication that she was coming home at night. And of course, the defendant, who I will get to in a minute. I don't know who else failed NAZIYAH, but the community did. As far as the people establishing probable cause, I will focus on count 1, as it's been stated that there is no contention with counts 2 and 3. In count 3, I will amend based off of the motion and the testimony I heard that NAZIYAH was 12 and not 13 at the time that Jarvis Butts had sexual intercourse with her. The prosecution is correct. You do not have to have a body to establish first-degree premeditated murder. It would have been a much shorter exam had her body been found, but this is where we are. In the last 365 days, no text messages. We all heard today and yesterday that she was very active and frequently texted. No social media for years. We heard through testimony that she was also active on social media. No phone calls, no physical sighting of her by anyone. She never came back to school. No one has seen her. Medical records dated from July 2014 to October 2023 indicated that she had no life-threatening medical issues that would lead to a natural cause of death. The black hoodie found in the Area 7 on the bird with her DNA and blood on it. The holes in the hoodie consistent with some sort of struggle, violence, or weapon being used. And we know that there were no holes in that hoodie when she wore it to school. We saw a picture of her in a black hoodie on her last day that everyone saw her. I do believe her grandma testified truthfully about the sweatshirt that she had on and that it was practically new. And the border agent who said that no evidence of animals would have destroyed the clothing or the shoes to possibly lead to animals tearing up that hoodie. The clear glasses found in the blue Nissan the day after she went missing. The behavior of the defendant when he snatched those glasses. They looked exactly like the glasses she had on in her last picture, according to the witness. The shoes that her brother described as the same shoes that were found also in the Area 7 Mountain Bird near the hoodie. While this is still probable cause, the evidence all points to Jarvis' guts. His locations, him being seen with her last, the abortion searches, the abrupt silence between the two of them in text messages, and the constant lies he told throughout the entire investigation. And they were proven to be lies with text messages and other testimony. We may never know what happened, but from what I heard today and over the last 4 or 5 days, it appears he intended to perform what he thought was a do-it-yourself abortion on NAZIYAH, and went south, and instead of seeking medical attention for her, he intentionally killed her and tried his best to cover it up. As much as I want her to be alive today, there is at least probable cause to show and believe that she's dead and that she was murdered by Jarvis Butts.
And we're going to stop right there. NAZIYAH Harris case, all they have to prove is probable cause. And Jarvis Butts is done. Now, according to what the judge stated, there's probable cause. There's probable cause. He wanted to abort the baby. And he done a back alley mechanic abortion, and it went left. He got scared. He panicked. He took NAZIYAH's life. I'm going by the judge. I'm going by what the judge said. That's the probable cause that's coming from the judge. Everybody on the replay gang, weigh in on it. I haven't eaten today. Who asked me, did I eat today? No, I haven't ate today, Kippy. You going to bless the Cash App? If you would like to bless the Cash App, Kippy, so I could get a bite to eat. The Cash App is $ERICMCINT. I appreciate everybody for pulling up for this demonstration. Make sure if y'all traveling, make sure y'all are extra careful on the roads. If y'all are partying, fireworks, whatever it is you all may be doing for the weekend, please be extra careful and make sure we are keeping our eyes open for children that are being mistreated. If you see something that don't look right, speak up, get involved. Speak up, get involved. All right? Ask a child, is you okay? Don't be afraid. I know it's tough nowadays. People don't want you talking to their kids. People don't want you in their business. That's the type of world that we're dealing with now. So in the event that you do have to inquire about a child, just be cautious. But ask a child, are you okay? Did you eat today? We got to get involved. All right. Salute everybody. I'll leave the chat running and I'll see everybody back tomorrow. I'll leave the chat running and y'all can hang around. I appreciate everybody that helped towards me reaching my goal. The goal was 11 super stickers and super chat. The goal was 15 super stickers and super chats. We raised 12 super stickers and super chats. So we're 3 super stickers and super chats away from me reaching my goal. People on the replay gang, y'all can help out with the goal as well. Just click on the $ symbol. Salute everybody, and I'll see y'all on the next demonstration.
Mr. West, stand up. You've been sitting over there for 4 days with your head down, getting between and behind your attorneys with your mask on and taking vigorous notes. I want you to pay attention and listen to everything I have to say. I have been trying to figure out for the last 5 days, you. At one point, I thought you were cognitively impaired in the beginning of this exam. And then maybe you had the brain of a 10-year-old, and that's why you were doing such things. But as I heard more and more testimony, you're just a true definition of a pedophile. Watching you laugh and brag about all the women you have with different women and the children and the girlfriends, and making babies to groom them and having them in your presence, cleaning up, quote, cleaning up your shop, and the little girls around you has landed you here today. You groomed NAZIYAH. You played mind games with her. We all heard that. You controlled her emotionally. She was exposed to so much at such a young age. The text messages between you two were disgusting to hear. And to think that she had you saved in her phone as a babe for life. NAZIYAH deserves so much more. And while I mentioned other people that failed her, Jarvis Butts, you were the monster in this whole picture. She did deserve love from her parents and everyone who was in her life. She was ignored, she was neglected, and you took complete advantage of that. She wanted someone to love her, and she will never know what that feels like. Your children deserve more. As much as defense counsel has raised issues on count 1, all that has done is raise the question of fact for the trier of fact, which means that this will be for a jury or judge to hear at Third Circuit. I pray for the healing of all the victims and the young girls and possibly boys who have come into contact with you. As a community, we should look at this case as a prime example of how much work we have to do when it comes to protecting our children and especially our Black girls. I pray for closure and healing for all those who have been traumatized by you. And for you, Jarvis Butts, I wish you a speedy trial and that justice be delivered.
But at the same time, we need to know where you got that information from, because my partner didn't do nothing like that.
From the streets.
Nah.
The streets be talking. That's right.
And why would you bring this up right now, TT, knowing that Miss Parker's going through her situation?
She called and asked me. I didn't bring it up. She called and asked me, and I'm a real friend, so I'm gonna tell the truth about it. So
then tell the whole truth.
Trying to check me about it. It's what
But TT, I thought you was being my friend through my situation.
Of course, I'm being your friend.
Not put it on knowledge. I can't.
That's what they are saying. That's what they are saying, not me. That's what they're saying. I'm telling you what they're saying.
Who is they?
The streets, nigga. The streets.
Okay, I'm on my way out to where you at. Okay.
Okay.
You make sure the niggas in the streets know I'm on my way out there.
The streets take care.
Wait. Why is it so dark in here? I can't feel my legs. Why can't I feel my arms? What's happening?
Dice, I need you, man.
Don't call my real phone with that bullshit, my nigga.
I need to get out of town, man.
Goddamn, dog.
Yeah, everything's shut down. Dry cleaners closed. Everything.